When you hear Jordan, what comes to mind? Is it a small Middle Eastern nation or Petra's rose-colored stone facades? Have you considered how this seemingly ordinary land pulses through Scripture's veins? From Genesis to Revelation, Jordan emerges through biblical narratives as Moab, Ammon, and Edom. This modern tourist destination secretly hosted eternity-shaping events. Moses gazing from Mount Nebo at the promised land he'd never enter, Christ baptized in Jordan's waters, the Trinity's first simultaneous manifestation, Elijah's fiery chariot ascend a prophetic mantle passing witnessed. Did you know Jordan's connection with Israel transcends modern geopolitics? These seemingly hostile nations share ancestral bonds through Lot and Esau's lineages. Millennia of wars, alliances, and tensions weave God's redemptive tapestry. Most astonishing, this prophetically judged territory transforms into a divinely ordained refuge in apocalyptic visions. Daniel's mysterious prophecy about this role ignites endless theological fascination. Join me traversing 3,000 years of sacred history. Explore Jordan's metamorphosis from Genesis beginnings to Revelation's final act. Decipher God's master plan imprinted on these ancient river valleys. Let's rediscover this nation through spiritual lenses, unveiling how desert sands became stages for divine drama. Witness how Yahweh writes salvation's story across unexpected landscapes. The land of Jordan was once home to three ancient peoples, Moab, Ammon, and Edom. Genesis chapter 19 records Lot fathering Moab and Ben-Ammi. Through his daughters, Moab became the ancestor of the Moabites, while Ben-Ammi fathered the Ammonites. Both nations shared blood ties with Israelites through Abraham's family lineage. Genesis chapter 36 details how Esau's descendants formed the Edomite nation. Esau, being Jacob's brother, remained closely related to the Israelites. The Edomites settled in mountainous regions southeast of the Dead Sea. This area now forms a significant part of southern Jordan. Relations between these nations and Israel remained complex and tense. Numbers chapter 22 recounts Moabite king Balak hiring Balaam to curse Israel. Edom refused passage to Israelites traveling toward Canaan. Ammon frequently clashed with Israel in military conflicts. Jeremiah chapters 48 to 49 contain divine judgments against Moab, Ammon, and Edom. Prophecies foretold these nations' catastrophic downfall into desolate ruins. These predictions gradually fulfilled through history, leaving only ancient remains. Jordan's archaeological discoveries confirm biblical accounts' reliability. Sites like Petra, the Madaba Mosaic map, and Kerak Castle. These silent stones eloquently testify to biblical history's authenticity. They stand as powerful witnesses to God's truthful words. Jordan's geographic location granted crucial strategic importance. Positioned between Egypt and Mesopotamia, it hosted ancient trade routes. King Solomon's caravans and Arab traders traversed this land. The Jordan River formed a natural boundary between Eastern and Western civilizations. Mount Nebo stands as one of the most symbolic landmarks in Jordan's rich biblical history. Deuteronomy 34 records Moses ascending Mount Nebo's Pisgah summit to view the promised land. The Lord showed him all Gilead stretching north to Dan and Naphtali, the territories of Ephraim, Manasseh, Judah reaching westward to the Mediterranean Sea. Moses gazed upon Canaan's fertile land, where Joshua would lead Israel. This land flowing with milk and honey fulfilled God's covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God told Moses, "I have let you see it with your eyes, but you shall not cross over there." These final moments marked Moses' closest proximity to the promised land. At Meribah's waters, Moses struck the rock twice instead of speaking to it as commanded. Numbers 20 details God's decree. Because you did not trust me, you won't bring this assembly into the land." This bittersweet moment reveals divine faithfulness intersecting human limitations. Mount Nebo emerges as a powerful symbol, embracing both separation and promise, human frailty and eternal grace. Moses seeing yet not entering carries profound spiritual lessons. Sometimes life shows us visions beyond our grasp, for God's timing differs from ours. Today, Mount Nebo remains a vital pilgrimage site and archaeological treasure. Byzantine-era churches discovered in the 20th century feature exquisite mosaic floors. The 4th century AD Memorial Church marks Moses' traditional burial site. Pilgrims come to behold the same panoramic view Moses witnessed. From Nebo's peak, visitors survey the Jordan Valley, Dead Sea, and Jerusalem's distant hills. The air seems to echo Moses' final conversation with the divine. Sunlit landscapes unfold like an epic canvas painted by God's hand. Mount Nebo witnessed leadership transitions and era shifts. Yet through changing ages, God's promises remain unchanging. The Jordan River flows through the most significant spiritual events in the Bible. Matthew chapter 3 records Jesus coming from Galilee to the Jordan River to be baptized by John. As Jesus emerged from the water, the heavens suddenly opened for him. The Spirit of God descended like a dove and rested upon him. At this moment, the Trinity was fully manifested by the Jordan's banks. A voice from heaven declared, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." The Father's voice, the Spirit's descent, and the Son's visible presence. This marked both the beginning of Jesus' public ministry and the clearest revelation of the Holy Trinity. Another pivotal Jordan River event occurred when Israelites entered Canaan. Joshua chapter 3 describes priests carrying the ark stepping into the river's edge. The upstream waters immediately stopped flowing and stood like a wall. This miracle demonstrated God's power while confirming Joshua's succession of Moses' authority. The Jordan River carries profound symbolic meaning throughout Scripture. It represents a spiritual boundary separating old life from new existence. Israel's crossing symbolized transition from wilderness wandering to promised inheritance. Jesus' baptism signified the shift from law to grace. Geographically, the Jordan serves as the Middle East's lifeline. Originating from Mount Hermon, it flows south through the Sea of Galilee into the Dead Sea. This 251-kilometer winding river connects the Sea of Life to the Sea of Death. Its natural course forms a powerful spiritual metaphor. Though narrow, the Jordan runs deep with swift currents in sections. Its significance transcends physical reality, becoming a symbol of spiritual baptism. Today, countless believers still come to the Jordan seeking spiritual renewal. In these ancient waters, people experience miraculous transformation from death to life. 2 Kings chapter 2 depicts an astounding miracle. Elijah was taken up to heaven in a divine whirlwind. This event occurred in the wilderness east of the Jordan River. Knowing his earthly ministry was concluding, Elijah journeyed with Elisha toward the river's banks. They stood before the rushing Jordan's impassable waters. Elijah removed his cloak and struck the river's surface. Immediately the waters parted to reveal dry ground. This miraculous sign echoed Joshua's crossing centuries earlier. God demonstrated Elijah's spiritual authority equal to Moses and Joshua. After crossing the river, Elisha made a bold request. "Let a double portion of your spirit be upon me." This petition sought not mere power but prophetic succession. Elijah responded, "You ask a difficult thing. If you witness my departure, it will be granted." Suddenly, heavenly chariots of fire appeared between them. Elijah ascended in a whirlwind toward the skies. His prophetic mantle fell to the ground below. Elisha tore his own garments in grief and cried out. my father, the chariots of Israel." Elijah became one of two Old Testament figures spared physical death. His rapture foreshadowed Christ's ascension and believers' future hope. It demonstrated God's special reward for faithful servants. The event carried profound spiritual succession significance. Elisha took Elijah's mantle and returned to Jordan's edge. Striking the waters, he proclaimed, "Where is Elijah's God?" The river parted again, confirming his spiritual inheritance. This powerful demonstration revealed God's unbroken continuity. As one generation of leadership departed, another arose. Divine purposes advanced through this sacred transition. The Jordan's banks witnessed this eternal spiritual principle, a timeless symbol of faith's transmission between generations. Heading south from the Jordan Valley, we arrive at another location filled with God's marvelous plan. Hidden in the desert of southern Jordan lies the astonishing ancient city of Petra. This rose-colored wonder, surrounded by cliffs up to 300 meters high, can only be accessed through a narrow, winding canyon. This unique geography made Petra one of history's most ideal refuges. Revelation 12 describes a woman fleeing to the wilderness where God prepared a place for her. Though pursued by the dragon, the earth swallowed the flood from the dragon's mouth. Many biblical scholars believe this wilderness refuge could refer to Petra. They suggest believers might find shelter here during the end times tribulation. The Nabatean civilization flourished in Petra from the 4th century BC to the 2nd century AD. They carved magnificent structures from solid pink sandstone, al-Khazne. The treasury, royal tombs, palaces, and theaters showcase astounding craftsmanship. These architectural marvels appear divinely sculpted. Isaiah 16 mentions Moab's refuge becoming shelter for Zion's daughters. This prophecy aligns with Petra's potential role as an end-time sanctuary. Petra once served as Edom's capital, called Sela, meaning rock in Aramaic. Jeremiah 49:16-18 prophesies Edom's destruction, comparing it to an eagle nesting in high cliffs. Petra mirrors multiple biblical refuge stories. David hid from Saul in Adullam cave and En Gedi's cliffs. Moses found refuge in Midian's wilderness for 40 years. Similarly, Petra could shelter God's people in times of trial. The city's geography provides both water security and defensive advantages. Its narrow entrance canyon allows only a few people to pass side by side. Advanced water systems and numerous caves could sustain thousands. These features make Petra an ideal refuge city, fulfilling God's protective design. Daniel 11:40-41 prophesies a climactic conflict between the king of the south and the king of the north in the end times. The king of the north will advance like a whirlwind, overwhelming defenses with unstoppable force, yet Scripture specifically notes that the leaders of Edom, Moab, and Ammon will escape his grasp. These territories align precisely with modern Jordan's geographical boundaries. This prophecy has sparked extensive analysis among biblical scholars. Some interpret the king of the north as representing Antichrist forces, while the king of the south symbolizes Egypt or an Arab coalition. In this eschatological battle, the Jordan region appears to receive unique divine protection. God's hand seems to specially shield this land once marked for judgment. The book of Obadiah details Edom's coming judgment, declaring, "As you did to your brother Jacob, violence, shame will cover you." Yet in the final conflict, God promises preservation for this territory. This paradox reveals God's abundant mercy and unfathomable wisdom. Ezekiel 25 prophesies God's judgment against Moab and Ammon. The prophet declares these nations will become possessions for eastern conquerors. Historical records show Moab and Ammon vanished as independent states fulfilling part of these predictions. Within God's end-time plan, this land assumes renewed significance. Scholars debate the timeline of these prophecies. Fulfillment, some suggest partial realization through Jordan's current peace treaty with Israel. The Hashemite kingdom's modern diplomatic role may align with prophetic patterns. Others maintain complete fulfillment awaits the final Antichrist confrontation. As the ultimate North-South conflict remains future, Jordan's prophesied refuge status still anticipates ultimate revelation. Interpretations affirm Jordan's strategic importance in God's eschatological design. The modern kingdom of Jordan holds a unique position in the Middle East's complex landscape. It remains one of the few Arab nations maintaining a peace treaty with Israel. Jordan's Hashemite royal family oversees Islamic holy sites in Jerusalem. This delicate balancing act positions Jordan as a mediator in conflict zones. This land witnesses humanity's most sacred biblical moments, from Moses' final gaze across the Jordan Valley to Elijah's fiery ascension to heaven, from Joshua's river crossing to Christ's baptism. Each event left eternal imprints in this soil. Jordan stands as a bridge connecting scriptural past to prophetic future. It testifies to God's unchanging faithfulness through generations. Here divine encounters shaped salvation history, making Jordan an essential landmark of faith journeys. Believers gain profound insights from Jordan's narrative. We learn to trust God's timing when promises seem delayed, to prepare spiritually for end-time challenges, to remain watchful while nurturing holy anticipation, to preserve spiritual inheritance for coming generations. Jordan's biblical significance transcends geographical boundaries. It serves as living testament to God's ongoing work in history. May we rediscover this ancient land with fresh perspective. Through Scripture's lens, behold God's wonders in Jordan.